Hi, Naisha. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Very good, very good. So, Naisha, are you understanding all what I'm teaching?
Yes, perfect.
Did you have any tests so far? What is the kind of result you are getting?
Yes, I had one test
Mhm.
3 to 4 days ago and I got 24 out of 25 there.
Wow, that is great. Very good, very good. Congratulations. And I'm really happy that you picked up so fast. In just few classes, you're almost at 100%, right? 24 out of 25 is an achievement. And which chapters did it include?
Division of polynomials, equation in one variable, and congruence of triangles.
Wow, perfect. Okay, so today, what do you want to do?
Compound interest. Yesterday we covered simple interest. Now
Simple.
compound interest.
Yeah, so let's continue. We did simple interest yesterday, so I'll form a bridge to connect simple interest with compound interest, and then we'll learn something more about compound interest, right? We'll take one more class on compound interest where we will take challenge questions. But before that, you have to be ready for those questions, correct? So
Yes.
I have a lesson for you, and we'll follow this lesson. Can you see my screen?
Uh, yes.
Can you read the topic?
Simple and compound interest.
Perfect. So that is our topic for the day, simple and compound interest. In the last class, we saw what simple interest is, and we did do some questions related to simple interest. So simple interest is earned on the principal amount only. So whatever you invest on that amount year after year, you get a fixed interest which is based on the investment. And that is what is known as simple interest, correct? And we also
Yes.
saw it is kind of a line which is shown here as a red line because every year the growth of money is fixed and that is the interest you earn, right? And so we derived a very simple formula that the future value or the amount which you get is principal plus the interest, right? Where interest
Yes.
is what you invest, at which rate you interest, and how long you invested. So it is, as you can see, interest is directly proportional to time you invest. And therefore, we have a straight line. Do you understand why a straight line?
Yes.
And we call this as a direct variation, right? We introduce all these terms, which are normally not given in any book. But these are required in grade 9. You get the idea. So you are in grade 8, graduating to grade 9. Let us understand what do they expect from you in high school. You get the idea? So when you move from middle school to high school, you have to, understand their terms also. So we learned few terms. We are calling this as the future value, and we are saying P is your present value, what you have, and then of course interest is I. So this is another way of writing the same equation. That's clear to you, right?
Yes.
Now let's talk about compound interest. Compound interest is the interest earned on principal and the accumulated interest, right? See, the idea is that, let us say, if you have, let me write dollars here. It looks nice, right? Earning dollars is beautiful. So let's write dollars. So if you have, let us say, $100 and you invest at the rate of 10%, let us say, per annum, right? So per annum. Then after 1 year,
Oh, I
you have
can't hear you.
110. Can you hear me now? Nasha, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, clear. So let us say if you have $100 and you invest at 10% per annum, then you get 110 after 1 year. Is it okay?
Okay.
That is a simple interest, correct? Now,
Yes.
strictly speaking, how much money do you have in the bank? You have $110, correct?
Yes.
Why not earn interest on 110? Why on 100? Because now you have $110, correct? So if you
Yes.
earn interest of 10% per annum on 110, what will you get? You will get $11, not 10 extra. You get the idea? Because it
Yes.
will be 110 plus 11. Do you see that? So you get $121. So what really happens is you got $1 extra, right?
Yes.
Instead of $10, here you got only $10 because you added what? You added 10 here. But here you got one extra. This one extra is on what? This one extra is 10% of interest earned, which is $10. Do you see that? 10% of 10 is 1. Do you see that? So on
Yes.
the interest, we earn interest, and that is what is called compound interest. You get the idea. So the growth is
Yes.
much faster, and therefore, if you put the money on compound interest, your money is going to grow exponentially. Do you see this curve?
Yes.
Far more than what has been invested on simple interest. So there is definitely much higher earning, as you can see, on compound interest. So we are going to learn this. How do we calculate the money earned and what is the compound interest? So with that, I will like to go through this. First, we'll again simple and compound interest. I made a connection here. We'll look into the formula list, understand all the parameters. When I say parameters, it is these: amount, which will be there in future, so also called future value; P, the present amount or the present value; I, the interest, rate of interest, and time. These are the critical parameters which we are looking into. We'll calculate the interest. We'll find the maturity value. Now, maturity value is another term which you will see only in high school, may not see it now at grade 8 level, but it basically means amount, right? After so much time, what will be the money in your bank, right? Adding interest, A, or or future value. Do you understand? So that is the maturity value. That if you invest for 10 years, then after 10 years, what do you get? That is the maturity value or the future value or the amount accumulated in your bank. You get the idea? So
Yes.
that leads to the compound interest concept, which I was just sharing with you. Then compound interest, where the interest can be compounded in between also. It can be compounded monthly, it can be compounded weekly, even daily. So we'll see how we can compound the interest and increase the growth of this money. So all this we are going to study now. So let's look into the formulas which we learned in yesterday's class, right? You remember these formulas?
Yes.
Simple interest is charged or earned only on the principal amount P. So P is the amount which is invested, right? Note,
Yes.
rate of interest R is decimal equivalent value and T is always in years. You understand that?
Yes.
T is always in years. So simple interest formula is interest is PRT. R written in decimal value. For example, if it is 8%, it is equivalent to what? 0.08, right? If it is, let us say, how do we calculate? 8 over 100. Simple as that. Gives you 8%, correct? And time
Yes.
t is in years when we are calculating simple interest. Now, we also saw that the amount will be principal plus the interest. And we could actually factor principal and write it in this form also, right? Which is kind of same as principal plus PRT. Is that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Now we are going to talk about compound interest, but I have given you formula directly here. So compound interest is the interest earned on initial principal and accumulated interest from previous periods. Means you get interest on interest. That is what compound interest is. So it is compounding interest means interest on interest. You get the idea. So that is compounding, right? That means compounding interest. You get the idea how do we get the term?
Yes.
And the formula is given here. Instead of PRT, it is now 1 plus R to the power of T. So it has become exponential. Do you see that T has gone in exponent, right?
Yes.
So that is exponential function. It grows like this, not a straight line, right? So we'll look into all this now. So now let us revise some examples. Here is an example for you, example one. Can you please read the example?
Sam borrowed
$1,000.
$1,000 at 12% simple interest for 7 months.
Correct. How much interest will he pay? Sometimes what we do is we do have to pay interest in smaller period of time also. So not we don't have to wait for the whole year. So there are different ways of calculating. In this case, I'm taking this example to give you an idea that simple interest may not be calculated only at the end of the year, right? We may say that the interest is 12% per annum. We are saying it is 12% per,
Per annum.
per year. But let us say we have to pay the interest. If you take money on loan, you have to pay back with interest, correct? Somebody else's
Yes.
money you're using. And they are interested in getting their interest as fast as possible. So if they say, no, 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 give me interest in 7 months, then what? So in that case, we can calculate 7 months of interest also. 7 months means what? See, 7 out of 12 years. You understand? Because in a year, there are 12 months. Correct?
Yes.
So 1 year has got 12 months, right? So 1 year is equal to 12 months. If you are only looking into 7 months, then it is kind of a fraction of 12, correct? You
Yes.
did not wait for the whole year, but you want it now, right? So every month it is 1/12th, right? Every month it is 1/12th, right? 1/12th per month. Is it okay?
Okay.
Because it is for year, given amount is 12%. So therefore, see now the calculation. It is very important. We have the principal, which is same as $1,000. Rate of interest 12% means decimal value of 0.12. But the time period has changed. We are now asking for 7 months. Do you see that? In years, convert months to years. It will be 7 over 12 years, correct?
Yes.
You get the idea? If it is 6 months, 6 months means what? Half year, correct?
Half year.
That means 6 over 12. That is how you get half year, correct?
Yes.
So for 7 months, it will be 7 over 12. That is how you could actually think about it. Is that absolutely clear, right?
Yes.
Principal interest or any interest can be there for limited time also. So in this case, 7 months. And now you can use the formula and find the interest on the amount. And when you plug it in, you get $70 as the interest for 7 months. You get the idea, right? If that is the interest, then the total amount to be paid will be 1,000 plus 70 because you borrowed
Yes.
1,000 and you have interest accumulated 70. So you will pay 1,000 plus 70 and the total amount will be 1070 after 7 months. Is this
7 years.
part absolutely clear to you?
Yes.
So that is how we can calculate simple interest, which is a directly proportional relation as shown here. Correct?
Yes.
Now let's look into another example. Can you please read this example? I'll read. The
The
future
future
value
value.
of an investment of $5,000 at the rate of simple interest for 11 months is 5366.67. So we are again limiting the interest for a period of less than 1 year, right? 11 months. Find the rate of
Yes.
interest at which the amount is invested. Now, reverse kind of a calculation. We know what the amount is going to be, but we want to find the rate of interest. Correct? Do you see that? So let's
Yes.
put the values. Amount is principal plus interest and total amount now we know is 5366.67. Time period is 11 months. Written in years as 11 over 12 years, correct? And therefore, the interest will be PRT. So if you calculate the interest, it is difference between principal and amount, right?
Yes.
Interest is what? Total amount you have and what you invested. So we know the difference between these two is the interest earned. So 366.67 is actually the interest earned. And from here, we know principal and time, and therefore we can find the value of R, which is given to us as 8% from this
8%.
calculation. Do you see that? So that is kind of a
Yes.
reverse. And we did do these formulas listed here. Do you remember these formulas? How we can
Yes.
derive the formulas which are related to amount equals to principal plus PRT. Correct? So that was a review of the concepts which we have done so far. Now, let us look into the compound interest concept. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Naisha, do one thing. Put yourself on mute so that that background noise is not there. So whenever you have to speak, then you unmute and say, okay, that'll be better. Now, let us talk about compound interest. Okay, your concepts of simple interest are clear. We have also seen how simple interest for a limited time in few months also can be charged, and we know how to calculate that also now, right? A compound interest is the interest earned on initial principal and accumulated interest from previous periods. Here is an example for you, and we will actually derive the formula for compound interest. So we will actually derive the formula, okay? That is what we'll do, derive formula. Okay, it says consider $P is deposited at R% interest compounded annually. At the end of the first year, amount will be P times 1 plus RT, right? You know the formula, right? So if I put principal P at the rate of R, in that case, A will be equals to P times 1 plus R times T, because we have T as equal to 1. So it will be times 1. Is that clear to you? After
Yes.
1 year. So this is the amount after 1 year. Let me write A1 after 1 year. Now,
Uh, what we have written before are
pardon?
uh,
R is rate of interest at the
okay.
rate at the rate. Now you have this much of amount. So next year you have an amount of P plus 1 R. Correct? This is the amount with us. Now you want to find the, this is now becomes the principal, right? After this is first year, second year now. So now the amount after second year will be interest on this. So this amount will be multiplied by 1 plus R. So we have P times 1 plus R times 1 plus R, which is P times 1 plus R whole square. So after 2 years, you see the exponent square? That is what we are
Yes.
trying to say, that compound interest is exponential. So let me read this. At the end of first year, the amount will be A, which is P times 1 plus R, which can be written as P times 1 plus R. At the end of second year, interest will be earned on that amount, right? P times 1 plus R. So the initial principal and the accumulated interest from the previous year will now be what? It'll be, that is my initial value times 1 plus R, which gives me a square thing, correct?
Yes.
Similarly, third year will be what? Another 1 plus R will be multiplied. And so in general, we get our formula that the amount is equal to the principal times 1 plus R to the power of T. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
So let us now compare. Amount of simple interest is a linear function, right? Which is P times 1 plus RT, right? And amount for compound interest is an exponential function. Do you see that part?
Yes.
Exponential function. So if you're trying to graph that, then as we saw earlier, the graph will be what? The graph for the simple interest will be a, this is the amount, right? For simple interest. And for the compound interest, it will be like this, right? For first year, it will be same, because we have
Yes.
not earned any interest in the first year. So that is the compound interest where it is exponential, correct? And this is what you invested, P. Let's say P0, initial amount invested. Is this concept absolutely clear to you?
Yes.
Correct. So now let us have an example and we'll actually calculate. Find the amount of interest earned by depositing $1,000 for a period of 8 years, and we have two parts to it. Once we will find simple interest of 5% per annum, And then we have compound interest of 5% per annum, right? You see, we will try to see what is the difference in the amount, correct? If you want to do simple
Yes.
interest, in that case, the formula is P times 1 plus RT is the amount. We know that the time is 8 years, right? So we have put 8 years. Let me write on the side here. So time T is 8 years, right? And we have the rate of interest R as 5%. So 5 over 100, which is 0.05. And the initial amount P is equals to $1,000. Substituting these values, you get the final amount as $1,400, correct? 8 times
Yes.
5 is 40, right? And so we now know that the interest earned is how much? Difference of amount and the principal. That is the interest. That is why the amount grow. So we earned an interest of $400, which is 1,400 minus 1,000. Is this clear to you? That is simple interest.
Yes. Totally.
Now, let us look into the compound interest formula, which is P times 1 plus R to the power of T. So in the exponent, do you see that 8 now? Because it was invested for 8 years. And when you
Yes.
calculate, you get a bigger amount, 1477.76. And so the interest earned is 477.46. So we have earned $77.46 extra by compounding, and that is what the difference you see on the curve. You get the idea now?
Yes.
Very good. Now, you have understood that compounding really means earning more interest. So, here we have a different kind of an example, which is,
Can you show the screen again?
yeah, sure, sure, sure. So, can you, okay, Naisha, can you summarize what we have
I
learned?
I was not able to understand properly the compound interest part.
Okay, so let me take the compound interest part on a separate page. Is that clear to you? So I'm adding a fresh
Yes.
page here to explain you the compound interest. So you understand simple interest, and that was easy. We had the principal of $1,000, right? And the rate of interest was 5%, which is equal to 0.05, and the time was 8 years, right? And
Yes.
therefore, the amount was P times 1 plus R T, which is equal to 1000 times 1 plus R is 0.05 and times T is 8, right? And therefore, we got what? 1000 times 1 plus this was 0.040, right?
Yes.
And when you multiply, you get 1000. You can add like this also 1.40, and what you get is 1400. And that is the amount. So, what is the interest earned? Well, the interest is difference of amount and what you invested. So, it is 1400 minus 1000, and you earn $400 as interest. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, for the compound interest, what do we have? For compound interest, we are looking for the formula, which is A equals to 1 plus, I mean, principal times 1 plus R to the power of T, right? So the amount will be the principal of $1,000 times 1 plus rate of interest, which is 0.05 over 8. Use the calculator to calculate this. We have $1,000, 1.05 to the power of 8. And if I use the calculator, what value do I get? So we will do 1.05 to the power of 8. And when I say equal to, and then multiply by 1000, I get the answer as 1477.455, right? So let me round it to 456. Is that okay? So whenever you work in currencies, round it to two decimal places. So that is the amount you get. So what is the interest earned? Interest earned is the difference between amount and the principal. And in this case, it is 1477.46 minus 1000. And therefore, the interest earned is $477.46. Do you see that?
Yes.
which is greater than 400. You can compare, which is $77.46 extra than in simple interest. Is it okay? So you see, when you
Yes.
compound it, you can easily get much more money. Is this calculation clear to you?
Yes.
That is how you're going to find the compound interest. So for another example, let me ask you one more question here. And now your question will be, let us say we have a principal of
It is
10,000.
going a little bit tough in compound.
Pardon?
It is going a little bit tough in compound interest than simple
It is
interest.
going to be. It is going to be. So let us take for examples. Let us say we have principal of 10,000, right? And the rate of interest is 6%. Okay. And the time period is, let us say, 7 years. Can you tell
Okay.
me the amount which will be there? Can you calculate, please? So formula is P 1 plus R to the power of T. So what is the compound interest? This is per annum. Okay, rate of interest is per annum. Per year it is that. And it is compounded yearly. And we are talking about 7 years. So the amount will be 10,000, which is the principal, 1 plus rate of interest. 6 is written as 0.06 decimal equivalent, and T is 7. Can you calculate using calculator? So basically, you have to do 10,000 times 1.06 to the power of 7. So first you calculate 1.06 to the power of 7. Use your calculator, multiply by 10,000. What do you get? Tell me. So you get 15,036.30, right? You're on mute and therefore we are not able to listen.
Yes, we get the answer.
Correct.
15.
So if that is the final amount, what is the interest on? Interest is difference between amount and principal, right? And this case, it
Yes.
is 15,036.30 minus 10,000. And what do you get? 5036.30 is the interest in dollars earned. You see that? So if you
Yes.
compound that much of interest, is this clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see how we are calculating. So let us do one more example before we move on further, right? So question 3. So this time, what I'm telling you is that we have a principal amount of, let us say, 500, and the rate of interest is 8%, and the time period is 9 years. Correct? You have to find what is the final amount. Can you do the calculations? Tell me the answer, please. And also calculate the interest after finding the amount.
Amount formula is principal PRT, principal multiplied by the rate of
R
interest
to the
multiplied by
power of T. So this is compounded. We are talking about compounded, the compounded annually, right?
the yes.
So annually, that is the formula. It is an exponential formula, right? Now substitute the values and
Yes.
calculate. We have 500 times 1 plus 8% is
Yes.
0.08 to the power of 9, correct? So use
Yes.
calculator and calculate the answer, right? And then tell me, what do you get? So we get 999.50, correct? So 500 becomes almost double with this particular combination. You get the idea?
Yes.
So interest earned is almost $500. 999.50 minus 500 is the interest earned. 499.50. Do you see that? Very important result we have come, and I want to show you that result, that this is called a factor of, do you multiply 8 and 9, what do you get? 72, right?
22.
When you have this factor of 72, the result is doubling of amount. You see that? So if I give you this factor of 8 and 9, then the amount doubles. 500 has become almost $1,000. Very important formula to remember. Sometimes the question is there, immediately you can write down the answer. It is called a factor of 72, 8 times 9. So when you want to double the amount, you need this factor of 72 between rate and time. You get the idea?
Yes.
If I invest, you check. Now what you have to do as an added exercise, which I say explore. So now you have to explore, right? So what are you going to explore? The same example, what happens if the rate is 6% and how do you get close to 72? 12, right? 12 years, correct?
Yes.
Similarly, you can try many other values. Do you double the amount? And let's say you invest principal of $1,000. Is that okay? So explore and see, does the amount really gets doubled when we are doing compound interest?
Okay.
So we call this rule of 72. It is a very important rule, rule of 72. Very important formula which you should approximately give the answer, and many questions are only revolving around this particular concept. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Now we will talk about another very important thing, and that is that the compounding can also be done in shorter period of time. Why to wait for full year? We can compound semi-annually, means in 6 months, quarterly means every 4 months, right? Monthly, every month, weekly means 52 times a year. There are 52 weeks, or daily 365 days a year. You get the idea. So in this screen, we'll try to understand that the interest can be compounded more than once per year. Do you see that? So we are
Yes.
compounding more than once per year. Remember, always in the question, the interest rate is given per year, but then we can change the parameters to meet the requirement, which is more than one. So there are different conditions we could do. So here are common compounding periods, right? So it will be semi-annually. Semi-annually, as the name suggests, means what? Semi is twice. So 2 periods per year, that means after every 6 months, right? So n will be 2. 2 times it is compounded. Is it okay? Then it could be quarterly. Quarter means 4 periods every 4 months. So quarterly n is 4. 4 times it is done every 3 months. That is right. So every 3 months there are 12 months. So every 3 months you get quarters. Monthly means every month there will be 12 times interest on the same amount. Every month we will calculate, and whatever is the calculated value means the compound interest included. On that we will get the interest. So it moves faster. Daily means n is 365. So n is the compounding period. You understand now? So now we are defining a new term, compounding period n, and with that we are modifying the formula. So let us try to understand this particular formula, which is incorporating the compounding period. So if I have rate of interest r, let us say, right, 8%. Is it okay? Amount A. We'll calculate amount A. So first let me write the principal as, let us say, $1,000. And we want to do compounding. Let's say time is, let us say, 5 years. But we are compounding semi-annually. Compounding semi-annually. Semi-annually means twice. So since you are compounding twice, your rate of interest 8% will be after 6 months how much? Half, right? At the end of year, it is 8%. It is actually 8% per annum, right? So when you do this, then the number n is 2. 2 is the compounding period. Compounding periods or time. Twice you do it. And so therefore, the rate of interest will be now 8%. But since you are doing twice, it will be divided by half. Do you see that?
Yes.
And time, number of times it is compounded, 5 years, right? So it is 5 years times 2, because
2,
twice you will
10.
compound it every year, it becomes 10. And therefore, principal will now be A, will be principal P.
Your voice is breaking a lot.
Yeah, you have to pause that your sound because your background sound is loud. You put yourself, yeah, mute. That'll be better. So amount is P times 1 plus R over N times T times N, because now the rate of interest will be divided in two portions. And therefore, in this case, when we substitute, we get 1000 times 1 plus 8% of 0.08 divided by 2 times 2 times 5 years. And that formula will give you the amount as the final amount for calculations. Correct? Now you can
Can you just re-explain it? Somebody was calling me.
yeah. So as you can see, when we are compounding semi-annually, in that case, the compounding period is twice, right? So in 5 years, how many times will you compound? In 5 years, you get
Yes.
interest 10 times.
Yes.
And therefore, the exponent becomes 2 times 5. And in general, we multiply by number of times it is compounded. So the formula gets modified. As far as the rate of interest is concerned, now you have to pay. It is per annum, but you are taking interest after 6 months, so it will be divided by half, right? So n is 2, so we'll divide by 2 in this particular case. And use this formula to calculate the amount after 5 years. Do you see that? Now calculation
Yes.
will give you much higher than annual compounding. So let us do this calculation, find the answer. So basically, it is 1 plus, we have 0.04 and we'll exponent is 10 and then multiply by 1000 and so we get 1480. So 1480, right? So it, you see, last time we got 1476, we got $4 extra. You see that?
Yes.
If you remember, we had a similar example. We got 1476. Now we have extra $4. So it is higher by $4. You can compare, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll end our class here at this stage. I will like you to, you understood all this?
I got it.
Correct. So you need to practice based on this. I'm going to upload the video and share with you the information which we learned. Try to do some questions based on this. It is a tricky subject and see how,
Yes.
when we change the compounding period, how the parameters change. The exponent gets multiplied by n because you're compounding more number of times, and the interest gets divided by n because you are taking shorter periods to find the interest. So do some practice questions. We'll continue from here in the next class. But you have understood the connection between simple and compound interest. That was the idea of today's class. We appreciate that compounding means faster growth. And how fast? We will check in the next class. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Perfect. So do some questions from your book and then we'll continue from here in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.